So upon Sima Edungotri peace 104 and his grace upon your life. Happy birthday to you, Iman. From your siblings Reginald Kessie, Joycelyn, your mom Mommy Joyce, and the Holy Trinity choir to you, Emmanuel Kessie. Happy birthday to you, Bray, man.
Some trust in chariots.
But say had a minute, Dr. Sribo Kweku, Director of Elections,
The one true
Electoral Commission, Republic of Ghana, never to come on. We are dedication, I can ever. Doc, Marche.
Niama Joso.
Now, what to say?
Yes, I do now as well.
Oh, Yanko Pado, Mehoye. And you know who I check a crowd, Yanka Bibiayoki.
You only have to go home.
I will be out here, Saba so. It's a Biaoshi, Barry and I can say, I remember Cordia.
Yes, I don't be able to check Ghana for you now.
Ghana for Edges. Yeah, that's no pay yourself so when you want I just said, you drink come on. The other kind say, I don't know, Mom Ghana for Betuaba.
Yo, me that's it. So, electoral commission. Now we working some person Ghana for a tuaba. Now, Sabi, I see if you want if you say, we mandate pan, say, Obama Ghana for money and few don't watch it. No more judgment that one. Actually, we do not tuaba. And to him, maybe I was not watching some person about tuaba there. Maybe a baby how kakra.
I see. Anyway, the entire maybe our question and say, more imagine some of the CI for a bar, a beshe. Yeah, about to also the next elections they did anyway any idea no. The main opposition party NDC are raising issues. Now issues I mean no bako ni nyina mu mako na afi nya no e ho no waka ama Ghana for ate. Na asem no there e po ewo mu pa ye guarantor system no a mo se mu yi afri ho no. Ma me say the anti electoral commission 2020 abaye 2 year registration here preceding that election here no mo ma kwan e ma ye guarantor system but se ade mo se mo mpese ye guarantor system be adwuma bi
yo me da se bi the thing say me ti hey ya me ada roma ma two kwan na me sa kira de we Kofi Annan about elections me akwanto matunu me ade chema china no me hu ba bia you do guarantee system the trading. That is the first thing. You can say guarantee system anything. The actual say obi mramedia da say ne ba ko no ye Ghana ni na wanyan fi dun wotwe. Wo hwe article 42 na a foundation for elections in Ghana no. O see obiara wanyan fi dun wotwe ye Ghana ni na adwum da ho no. O kwan so oto aba ndi entwe ni no onto aba. So nana asema first question is a den na be ya be hu say salesman say obe Ghana ni e den na be ya be hu say salesman so yem fidun wotwe e fa sound man ya adwum no de e be den say be na che doctors it the first no from 1992 no dey ensure ni adase die bi pa a kire say Ghana phone no man yem fidun wotwe ni nti wa wodi about which bia and be hu say party for ya na reception centers na dana atwerebo ohwe the last reception year 2020 year nipa ye challenge wo mu so mnya Ghana fo na so mu mfie no ye no na eboro 32000 na za challenge no mran say even ye fa krata nto na ufizo binya Ghana ni ana so ye fido twa fere ye mu mfilo na dana mabo enti we are so now you huge number of people. Now their friends district researching review committee. So committee no political parties be our representative was so electoral commission yeah this of some no secretary to a member so. Now I said this police commander or a member. Or him for number a member. That of education a member. No more quatrancy. No more way back beche the beche no and this way party ni. And say electoral commission no matter the asem no to we are according to mrani say time no mo transfer ni na no o mo 2 minutes say district court na for mo da ba say Kofi Bensa be kan asem koju wa challenge be kan asem na wa wo chance be kan asem ene so stand so adane ntokwakon e wi afo no mo do mo verdict aba mrani say so mo do verdict ba wa nyantum no osa oye appeal ekọ obi a yeyi na sha on bako no an yekoye high court judge na house high court judge sama judgment or the judgment ba electoral commission no so them judgment the year adwuma. And you look at the chain na ebeko man sa na yetumi atwere di na wie na ni nyina no say issue ni say hwan ne Ghana ni hwan na nyam fedun wotwe menu nyina ya wo say etwe din bi awie a ebe we na party fo ya biem na ya twetwe foreigners din ya twetwe nkwara din metima aka say 2020 etwe ye no mintima figure no but nipa kakra akoda prison fire eduntwe no and one instance so immigration service for eso the ngofo cast bre and say sam ngofo no o man hu so omunya Ghana for no mabetwe nto man kata jatum no mdom cast aba na ye afrim into going through all these challenges and the kwamba biem na ebetima ya Ghana for na beto aba ma Ghana for enye proper say ahoho beto aba yi president and leaders. And they didn't do na review meetings with the political parties, with civil society organizations, with Lisa Hotel. And in about you cross say, they see no time ye trading no. Nipa 10 million plus, and now omudi Ghana card and about 600,000, about 6 million, omudi guarantee system na and now about 500,000 so me hold me if you can mutual but almost about 2% on the passport here. In the one say majority in the Ghana card na year as at 2020. And now for so amiati as say now no the oma cover more than 17 million people. If the challenges are no one say now scan million na omuntu minya cards no. So there was the need say and now for no any the Minister of Finance and ye na no you better answer who how best to solve. Into all the assurances the buy in that case, you did say by the time I say year to a bar for October this year and December next year and year. Now be our person or training they no Ghana card be. Na Ghana card no one thing a year when say so your mom number na without number na say be udbeku. But offer passport na minimum say old passports now de o hwe bon say o passport nyina no ye change pe na o passport na masesa ye change pe no passport na masesa but the Ghana card ne de ye de manwa kiso wo ensesa da nti we see that no ye more reliable and a guarantee system so part to part for ye ka o masemi ho bo so mako gina centers o nim ni pa ko ne da o hu ne da enso no akofere from say zan pa ko ne Ghana ni nti ye convince say say yi guarantee free mo a ebama yenya more credible racer than we have. No.
Okay. Minority in Parliament and Ramu press conference on here point number 1 or say the Ghana card and registration of voters. Article 42 of 1992 Constitution guarantees the right to vote by stating that every citizen of Ghana of 18 years or above and of sound mind has the right to vote and is entitled to be registered as a voter for the purposes of public elections and referenda. Distinguished friends from the media, the Electoral Commission's proposed CI seeks to what it seeks to do, however, is to restrict the realization of this right of Ghanaians, as Regulation 1.3 of the proposed CI states that a person who applies for registration as a voter shall provide as evidence of identification the national identification card issued by the National Identification Authority and or twatwa the babesi form or cancer Professor Tefa or cancer cast no yeni pe nyina no omsaka omoka de babeduru baby or cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission herself, Madam Jane Mensah, in the daily graphic of Tuesday, September 13, 2022 front page, is reported to have admonished the National Identification Authority to make Ghana cards acquisition process faster. Thus, is clear admission that there are problems with the issuance of the Ghana card, which the Electoral Commission wants us to use as the sole proof of citizenship.
Nana, say me kan na say who Electoral Commission na wadwini say pese Ghana ni bia qualify no obetwe ni ato aba na sabi yose ehwe so wadwini minyi ni say obi wo Electoral Commission na adwini say obeso disenfranchise Ghana for be say me se kan na no register no e Ghana for register e kwan be na be fa so e be hu say Ghana for nkwan na etwe din mo say be omo amompe Ghana car assembly na no I mean tito be can issue say ahoho bom na na say the can na any party for na yo there were 2 stages this registration review committee no and on the no this level any party for party or say reps of the active political parties so mo na ka ho bi to mo nim the way it and some na be do national so adjudication so to any party for na se na ye nti mo nya nim ebraye command sana yetuma yi edini bi afim mintimi nkan nyina be nka say Ghana from Kwan din war reason mo and I mean so mintimi nyanka say if Ghana card no Ghana from Kwan betwere but to reduce the foreigners and minors no because for example say who you be a 1 year 16 years ni abada da say e bia koyo Ghana card na kotwe odin a say me kan ya no Ghana card no twira ye once nti yen ye twedi na be peke opin no ni apeke o document number na e de be kan ho ayo registration no so it means that one who 16 now because we 18 now over quite retirement at the age of 58 because we increase to age in 2 years in the time of being 58 no na record shows that when 60 years the one kasa na be kwa against you that is the major issue about the Ghana card no there's no way commission beka say you could use say yeah mobi and yeah but constitution aka say yeah Ghana for but does it mean so be obaba so Ghana be entry in there na and now we article 51 now was say electoral commission no yeah yemfa constitution instrument emfa ko parliament na yen samra no a na aboa yen ma ya registration and we article 42 now ka say Ghana ni no 18 years no na we sound man no na ntwe ndi no and no na ka ho asemo but yen with details of how you are going to do registration no baby abakọ ye no wan na be ye emra wo hu punishment wo hu nyina no and na wo di constitution instrument ba this constitution instrument ba no you about to actualize article 42 no you were 91 and the judgment here and 2020 no ya amend proof of identity no because you Ghana ni that dey be na wa you say Ghana ni no and no amend no 2020 na article regulation 126 no it honum crossing na issue no wo it the challenge ni say first no there now there was no way obetuma insist say obimfa ID card mra but now no yame adaroma Ghana card for number and na wutie the egosi na no as na raise your 17,000 no
70 million
sorry and na is raise 70 million right and now form record na 60 million and the Ghana card now you qualified to register and yes you were 17 million and now you nim say ebimu use other means to come on board and even the figure now at the no a lot of them are already in the register and the you are talking of only those who have 10 18 and have not registered it didn't say about a new register altogether. Your mom didn't enka 17 million or something again. And as I'm going to there, Omuya Bebu no mere youth are as a the Omuya very active. So whatever you want to raise, they can go and register.
Okay. Point number 2, or say, for emphasis, the Electoral Commission was pushed to provide evidence to back the claim of so-called abuse of the guarantor system. The EC indicated that in the 2019 voter registration, for instance, only 15,474 people, representing just 0.09% of the total of 17,029,981 registered voters, were challenged on the basis of the guarantor system. Inti asemna ne se mo ankasa kra yisi no amoka se nkofo abuse sa guarantor system no. Munyina so amode ba ne mu oha kire se mo atworo nipa opepepem edu nson ne akiredi. Na emu mpem du numu pe na nkofo so mo haw wo mo edin na say wo mo Ghana ni na mo ye no ho a no nye strong basis enough for you to say mo yi guarantor system na free.
Oh. Edikan no 2019 and e bia na typographical error rest and comparing 2020 and 2019 nti minim say zano mo ya next e hono ye error no mo ye na ye mo ka challenge mo no ufa education a year, and we are talking about 40,000. No more record shows say to me you from no 15,000. Nana, me because there was an MPB war.
Maybe my minty anasi Omo a challenge omo under
omo charge this level no me about 32,000.
32,000
plus.
okay
And now omo adjudication so you challenge you so omo thousand omo multiple so omo about 7,000 plus. And look at
39
plus and look at plus boma is about 40,000.
okay
And now omo your world record say officially you move free move from two adjudication process no is about 15,000. In addition to that, near war almost make us a boma na mitigation for actual more. No more one by no mean I can't put the figures on the about 15,000. Double the 15,000. Yanka said there was somebody
almost 15,470.
Now because we know in Agitum say there were MPB winning with 3 votes. It's okay. MP 3 okay. Whatever. And the 3 no votes no na 15,000 then it does. You won't go for parliament or winning with less than 15,000. And the one you are talking of 15,000, I am finding try say 15,000 out of 70 million. 15,000 can make my move for alcohol runoff. So if there's a gap between two first and second, 15,000 can make my alcohol runoff. And they say you to me say hope for 15,000 to be raised some there. The who says 15,000 can determine a lot of issues. Would have for records. Now who never do MPs no. But do winning with less than 15,000. Talk of the gap. So the 15,000 can make a lot of difference. Because be to me winning with and because okay, there was one MPB of an NDC ticket. Also winning with 3 votes. I think 96 also. And the 15,000 no. You for national presidential and parliamentary no would compare for statistics was the gap between first and second or previous election no Obama because the votes would winning number no and 15,000 no and the years small figure near can want no now even 3 votes with 1 vote can make a difference 1 vote can make a difference and the years small figure near can want no
okay all right now I say my saying issue back on my reason is a mostly say no sa registration person mu yi mo be na district officers nko a ba ma me family de nka ho bisa say sa registration et say o say kanen no mo ya na mo yi bia na otwe na otwe mienu asi ho say ye mass registration and na bia ye limited registration any ade what is the difference from the mo person mu yi sesi any ne e wo ho no and then 2 how do you react to the claim say mo ye ne say some district officers na pe na mo dey register yeah if in kronkuma mu o mo na me fan so mo mfin nkrase party say achema babo ne areas bi sa
me akwa me ka ho bi me if you know and 15 months and say be bi abatwe exams
and the sa na all canon if e free sa na nsu ho no e dey ba baabi ani no nye nipa nyina na benya ka eska kra e dey aba enti eno kra ebe mankofo eni gi a ompeso mde chiro mde ntu aba na ebe kofom eno yi ano say
yo I'm can answer first question no first question na o say registration no is it continuous whatever the first point is say we are continuous registration offer first na say main registration was 2020 subsequently no one say be the one you give out to the 2 is at 2 say limited registration ni akọ electoral areas or ya na o this level enti we no ye continuous ni chese ye bi office na to de bia ye adwuma bia no why when you 18 years and as of you abuche na ba kono kwetwe odi menu ka say ya won kofo bebre ya omo de application aba omo say omo so mtwe omudin because of say ya close registration and when be part of our routine work and the district officer no and be registration supervisor and registration officer to time biara ye bi officer ye adwuma bia no nana odo card ko fa na de odi aka register no tititititia nya fune ko limited registration and mra no so kire say yes adne be ya kopim say aka 60 days which is 2 months to election and san afre there ubutuma twa odi be ntum fan kan register no because at a point in time say hu say nipa dodo say na e beto aba no ye tuma prepare your register ye tuma your print ballot papers because you need to plan ntim nansi aka 60 days there obetwa odi na mum say election e ba dia wonka ho bi because you need the figures to plan party for na be say ya for register kwa mo so you need 60 days to prepare your register not that my party for mo say we me na beto aba no so the bo say constituency by constituency no figures ni say the way continuous registration yeah man for kasa franchising ba ku na ya tu na ochu mienu edeto uchu odi we ntwere biemu no na way continuous the hin na be disqualify ngofo because continuous dey anamaka no every day every time working day bia no what ma ko twere wodi edi yes ya twedi awie ntumi fo nkan ho na ba ku na mfase ye be election mfase bia June na ya twere wie from June to election time no wa wanya 18 bia ni adisa franchise wo to some you know when they na about this franchise go to where they say continuous 10 bia na a working day no a office no obakwa koto this officer ho and answer for krata akọ na you should we qualify e do work am afeni abasa this office ni you know nana sesi anu GSSS for no o man yan school so o ma wi mo be secondary school emududu ose na o secondary school no wo mukrum minute win na sesi ano enentra nka wo passport wo wampa o so ba nkan wamba je passport minute yin na say wo pese otu kwankwa abrochi da bebi o Ghana bia no kisa wo ba kotoka what metu kwan minute we university ano Ghana how many university do you have enso so chira wo kosa krom ho no akoye eno de obi any problem so why is it that because the business be electoral commission registration be na akoye story because nobody is complaining say ne bana we JSS na man was secondary school na kura so ho nti yeso onko Kumasi onko because and the days go but the whole year or 2 years 4 years no one day call this office na ko chudi ene de yenye scam ko that's the first point. The second point say o hwe mra na ye twere na yes see we be no continue to work this office na mum etu mini bi na ehu say it was specific areas ni pandudu na wo ho bibi nti zankofo no ntimi mama twom din a electoral commission be fa ngofo akoho na amom specific period ni akwa twom din
e wo new CI no
e wo new CI ma me nka ma
let me pesa me amekan because all kind
okay
fama me chairman no
na me be mo say me be me pick them vema
me chairman na to jebre me because asem no me nka ni na bacho menka menka hefa no regulation 3 okay I say a person who applies for registration as a voter shall provide as evidence of identification the national identification card issued by the National Identification Authority. Say over to I say designation of registration centers. The commission shall designate as a registration center A district office of the commission, and B any other place that the commission considers appropriate.
Good. Okay. Now what is almost say you're specific. Now me no say CA. Me dem hu say anansufuo no omuntumi nko ina hin ko twomudi nem so ye woni padodo say enti yemfa machine nko it's only in the course of registration no and na manfo wetu agada om no manfo me so e bia ye ne ye won kofo dodo say wa ha ye ntimi ma then they come to the electoral commission na to genu na ye no kure na wa ye because you see na ebi nkwase yenye limited registration wo polling stations na ye wo get to about 40,000 polling stations and now wo ye registration you need about five people to do that registration now 5 no cause obi ampo no on a monthly level e between 700 nana calculate ayahe and now you need people to go and supervise them, you need fuel to transport them. It is a limited registration and unlimited because I am limited no it is possible say you will print you can become unyan papa crunch you. It is possible because in the honor the people obi who are 18 years you will not get them and say if you nipa be 2 and 3 then to the 4 5 go with the fuel with the allowance na no makona mako eduma be 1 month na the nipa 2 abro economics it doesn't make economic sense. Instead they say yamfa this it ne na mom we MP we opinion leader now so me was village boy this area me hwe ma manya nkwada bebe 4 5 6 7 na sanko a few obam ho no enwa o ka electoral commissioner ye we mandate say capture Ghanaian bia onya 18 years to who kasa na ye say be tun nkofo based on the dama sabana e because one person come to my adwuma na e say na monko sa village we na monko twa nkofo ndi na mfamra that's what the law says sabi na yin say nkwasu fo ye tintambe nkwasu fo ndi nim e say the way e be say na we attend to them.
Okay. For the ones are the registration supervisors and regional directors for of the Electoral Commission. Now, or say 5.
But I want to me answer and ye.
Okay.
Almost say yes, the registration supervisors will report to regional directors.
Okay, the Mamen Kaihan. Under the proposed CI, there will be a district registration supervisor and a registration center supervisor. Both supervisors shall report directly to the regional director of the Electoral Commission, making the regional director the only focal point of the registration in the region. Once again, it is our view that for the purposes of accountability and verification, copies of the report sent to the regional director of the Electoral Commission by the supervisors in the district should also be sent to the representatives, district officers of the Electoral Commission. The district officers are closer to the registration proceedings in the various districts under the CI and are among the persons who may give instructions or directives to a registration supervisor and other registration officials. Intino.
Na number can regulation 4 on my way.
Regulation
New
4.
new CI no.
Appointment of registration officials. The commission shall appoint for each registration center a registration supervisor, B, a registration assistant, and C, any other registration official that the commission considers necessary.
Good. And the yes see first then back to Miyaka that I say your registration were district offices. Now so if you be a bibi no so say you go to the federal remember a center. Our intention is this officer na be registration supervisor. You be say you see a permanent staff. So that second point is so that there will be no cost to the country. Because your permanent staff no person no more adwuma na. In the end go high for na ekotu amka. In the see registration where this office there. Now what this officer no be registration supervisor. Na in fact this officer didn't show na sense say but it is possible to be now say call outside the district capital. And do ko this officer na be registration go na. Then we call this ayina na this officer so jare this there no ko. So when it becomes necessary, they be to appoint somebody say, Nana ya who you receive superstar, Kona Kwanensu, Kona Kochu di na fabreme. Nana wa kura sin before them.
Behame.
And that's Nana ko Behame na Kochu di na fabreme. So that the district officer will continue to be at the district office. Now Nana ya call Behame, Behame sorry, no Kochu di no diaba.
In that case, no, me na mo appoint me something called Behame.
Who are you registration supervisor?
Supervisor, me report to my wine.
What the figures number about this officer no, but me now we are supervisors.
Okay.
Now on the core region. But because of them basically in the supervisor and here supervisor ntina am for this is number no. Because the district officer na gather data no. So at that time now we demand the registration supervisor. Now so on the core region.
But I also say for accountability sake and no more can say. Adan na mo masa supervisor no anka mo na come hame no. On fa the report no. Ebin Koma regional director no straight because a district officer no otiase ho no. So opese or manipulative system na ebema aye easy ama no.
Nana, this officer no one in charge of the district election bia o. In this about to manipulate there, then any secretary this officer kura. Because this officer no one head of the district. And now you see I'm running is there. Yeah recruitment bia na ma party for no copies of go for your recruit one. And the before you be registration company, you be probably say the names of go for your form some koyejuma no. Near a party for no copies. The what we are expecting is that the party no reasons. Say obin to be here money bia no aye compromise. But let's have in mind that we are using permanent staff of the commission. Unless situation in Basel or say call outside the district. No any staff there, then we can hire people to go no be temporary. And no go for few na gu hour o ma ready. Te move ko ha 1 day 2 days na you masamba. Into omo dey temporary staff for my sanity.
Friends of the media, between November 2018 and August 2022, the Electoral Commission set up a subcommittee of the Inter-Party Advisory Committee to discuss a draft CI on the registration of voters. The subcommittee consisted of the Electoral Commission, 1 member each from the New Patriotic Party and National Democratic Congress, and 3 members each from political parties with representation in Parliament and civil society organizations. Initial meetings to which the NDC was invited did not materialize, only for the party to be informed in August 2022 that this proposed CI was ready for presentation in Parliament. In other words, the NDC had been completely excluded from the process of preparing the CI.
Yo, Nana. Omuka sa no a na ne we mi hu we say ya no. If you say you were APAC meeting part of four civil society institutions, omina bambi, including the Security Peace Council now, omina ba APAC meetings, And this how why see I discuss what APAC meeting. There's no subcommittee ISR discussion. There's no subcommittee about the registration. Maybe no unless it be and you Ghana Electoral Commission me committee ni bi no. Nemum de minim ni say as part of your system you say nya law no we are na afu ne baba me actual modalities no. Actual modalities will be say ebia how many days in a week na person registration no. Ebia yen sati tambe ne empon tambe. Enu ne na etwe te koma party for ni na say MPP man baako NDC man baako na the other parties zoma en go for miensa the other parties minim say omo party for omo other parties go share no omo yi say PNC CPP na LPG omo fa government akoye party for na akoye 5 na your civil society institutions so the nipamba and electoral commission so the nipamba. They are all going to discuss the modalities, details of now continue in certain city because they are now kakasa because now no law no my it and this for now nominate obi MPP are nominate obi and other parties are nominating for but they have not started working because we don't have a CI. The young passes I see why we see with a boundaries but the modalities are very specific. Say we have Fridays in Kahu. But I'm not say ebia you used to Ghana card kwa ne hu nya say party agent bia bra nti bia once a one moment you hu de akoso and the same details in the nyambem eno na omoka say committee na omoka wansem na and then na committee it will start working after the CR has been passed as I know the CR nim pass it there's no subcommittee it is only APAC na here discusses asem no te hold me response no.
But going forward obi anim say money and this relationship at least for the past 2 years and share that papa biasa a high electoral commission more one share be na more share se mo betu ana mo bi na masen afre o mo de aba iPad
nana me na mkaze ne be no be electoral commission a minimum bi na ye nom na ye meeting e bibia ansa na ye election no ye election we na free meeting for to review the elections because nipa there also to be a to anama could be a no what transfer say anama you 2 and a say near ye the time meeting no na on buy and to on buy no maka say going forward no meeting bia na e be discuss 2020 election no omo meme fi so omo gini say yamfa kwambasa election no me no ina to em say ya court ayi bia ma court ama verdict nti me adwumi de em fi say omo problem no I address because once there's a court judgment it ends it there. 2 10 bia na be ya APAC meeting bia no ye mom invitation ye wie so a ya meeting na wie no ye minutes na ye no say no mom copies in the end commission there we have not stopped them from coming and we continue to also engage them to because message every time because say moderator say someone no two mnipa in the see moderator they will be represented it ya nya bibia ke say ye person no mo ebe ya adwuma because NDC is a very strong party in Ghana. We cannot do away with them. So we continue. Unim say, Nana, on some elections from constituency, regional, national. You no problem. Why would you go and do constituency election for them? Go and do regional election for them and national executive election for them. Someone tell you, and I'm some new question. Me no can say, Crambo, can say, I don't put the new by law say, yeah. Omo parliamentary presidential elections because me no can say ya now omo the data address em go election mo so at times if the commission is incompetent and omo ya base canoa why do you continue to trust them for them to do your elections for you now suddenly they were in my office
send their by law
there be presidential parliamentary develop ya by na the can na we say by law the can resist na law na bia so if by law we see you not be part of it then by law election they send it to by law but them can say na me no go share You discuss it on how I say your presidential and parliament election on 13th May.
Easy over here.
Yeah, let go me Michelle. They came to my office to me and chair meeting. No, me no discuss him. Definitely development model by your presidential and parliament election 13th May. And let go me here can answer me. It is a be at the bonnet for the place. So now they are of it and a lot of them are enough for you. You know, Monsieur, you do come with be
to me 7 days and for 7. Open to me and for 7.
Understand, and but as I would Emra Yajma. Is it say that you have a man like I say? 2 minutes young family Yajma, dear. No, we have challenges.
Okay, one other issue. I can't name me in Penam where we are not pay. Or say, Regulation 33 in the draft CI revokes CI 91 and CI 126. Therefore, by operation of the law, once the CI is passed, it will be the only law on voter registration in Ghana. The Electoral Commission knows that it does not have separate laws for continuous registration and limited registration or mass registration. In fact, I'm saying say CI way bar a betra CI 91 and 126 no emo because a betra CI is me no mu entino. Yeah, the CI 91 no a register ye. Any almost as amended in 126 no. Eye ho adwuma no enyina no eba saa no a ye registration no enye papa enti gise ye sign ekoko register san se ye ID card na ekuta ye no emra bia enta akire eba saa nso so a ye qualify se ye to aba eno oyi ano san
anamda ase ofa ye CI bia no a saa cross mo kan ewom enti na namde CI 91 de amount kan cross na e kan about revocation and savings no
Mekai 33:1 or say the public elections into bracket registration of voters regulation 2012 that was CI 72 is hereby revoked. 2. Despite the revocation under sub-regulation 1, the existing register of voters is saved under these regulations until a new one is compiled by the commission.
And I wear CI 2016.
Or you CI 91.
And passing 2016.
Okay.
What is it? And the revocation as some savings, 2016 I was here anymore.
Way no 91 no a revoke 72.
Correct. Now the two no the year 2012 elections.
72 no.
72 na there 91 the 16 and 2020. I'm going to say but our cross from come one no 2016 the same cross now wo. Time I passing 91 and the same cross was so the thing is say what say why revoke CI na the only CI na you know that time now we registration na valid until it is only establishing say even though say the pursue now CI 91 in who name of the actually under 91 no there that's valid till na can current one also
and also 33 ones Adamo sheda na back on 33 we see 33 sir or say the following enactments are revoked. A. The public elections into bracket registration of voters regulation 2016 CI 91 and B. The public elections into bracket registration of voters amendment regulations 2020 CI 126. Despite the revocation of the enactment specified under sub-regulation 1, the existing voters register in force immediately before the coming into force of these regulations shall be considered to have been issued under these regulations and shall continue to have effect until the commission compiles a new register. These regulations shall not affect an offense committed, a proceedings commenced or a penalty imposed under any of the revoked enactments before the coming into force of these regulations.
And today China say I did 91 year no even until now you revoke I did 99 na including the register no and as who are called jail because of 91 offenses no and that's what it is there's coming into force of the new CI no mean can you say new CI and any di if a young pass or pass here and then who see as a pass and I toss saying any di it will be I'm currently be a CI or be a 200 we pass up by 201 and the current one in the no the China say you young pass the new CI no I didn't see I na that Danina no I just see the papa and no it me no I trade war 2020 issue 91 no new one buy passing 2023 and dealing that's your papa and it will be considered say Yeah, the new law near the retire near that was why Juma. And the new law will not invalidate the existing register. Therefore, I want to say it and say it again. We young co trading for beam. A dada no one year war, Nemo ye the ribe can home, a woman after no match or manyan fee 18 and one.
Now, as 7 ne tofa bo, and ne poan casancasa and becama we. Bible is assembling in every and say, so Radu Yankopon, needing a shed so we need penny I said ye. Point 8 or say the Electoral Commission and National Security. As noted in Ghana's national security strategy, one of the main risks to Ghana's peace and security is mistrust in the electoral process. The suspicion of collusion between the ruling party and the Electoral Commission to rig elections for the ruling party continues to drive the situation towards dispute and potential violence. The above admonition is coming from the national security in the light of the clear and present danger that the Electoral Commission continues to pose to the peace and stability of Ghana through actions such as this proposed constitutional instrument.
Yo, Nana.
Nana
say, election has been rigged and but there mechema amount for ebi omuntu rigging national namutia here. I'm talking of Ghanaians. Because I can't rigging election, they'll be multi-din to one what it means. There was something we call irregularity in an election. Irregularity in an election here from Swa and say Banaba. For example, election Ghana election I shall see at 7 o'clock. We shall election as na akawam ni kona about 7 a year irregularity. We shall about to say 7-5 a year irregularity. We shall election as 8 o'clock a year irregularity because I started 7 o'clock. Say ensure talk time you to abandon bia you move from one place to another place a year irregularity. Tade bia na and camera no no is here a year irregularity. I don't know enya menu na e wo control na no so ni effect on election. Ya share election and say 7-5 I don't deserve no be more lose. Nti I no irregularity no there is here enya yi. Na e wo another next step here fraud. Fraud ni say e bia na ye ko twedi no pise fam fo yin say moto aba man na ya kase. Nti enso na ya kase fo nkrom fo nso omoto aba pa between 7 and 9. Nti na ya 7 election ba start 10 say ba na ya nkofo no omye kwa nkoto aba no ene ye fraud adwumfi na wo de yesa. Tanu de emna chuka say to eduko prison. Afen nti on the stage no afa oba Reagan ye fraud wa shada ya anu aboa emana na ya kase so ko winu no oba lusa na sibu kokko so lusu no oba wina na say election has been rigged. Election has been rigged that all the systematic steps at ho ama wo da ya adwuma ma afa no the Ghana for peno ye na bam and say the election has been rigged. And the answer we should wear rig and we there should be it could be fraudulent. Make my idea here bonny. May share that here, but still no any effect on the election results. So I have perpetuated fraudulent activities but have not rigged the election. That is the meaning of rigging. The rigging is all the systematic and matter to kwemwa. Oda ya adwuma monipako so winu no wabelusu and you find rigging. Nana minim time I start to aba. But the betime the other say there have been instances obi o winu no abaye lusa na me start to aba 1992 mim de me hu bi and I'm joining commission 95 me hu bi enti ye kasa reg na ho no me ntiase 2 of fire system na structure we Ghana ha no the electoral process no every stage ye twedi a any party for no ye nomination any party for no ye printing ballot papers any party for no ye distribution ko free national printing when I call regions no any party for no e go do this regional e call this that any party for no ye distribution of ballot papers because the polling station any party for no ye the money this the call polling station any party for no ye be boss ba any party for no ye to bring we any party for no ye kan ye no omo ye we as wo science say sa election e call no ye si kwekunya 5 na 9 10 enti wujitum so we the mistake about some kase nsan kan bim ye ina wi na wa sign na wa jo copy that can say ekeka bom enti bon the party for no media foi by time let them come say yes na na yakasi na president of Ghana no na party for you know
amen
media for no can da it is all the process is so transparent and stakeholder involving media for whom it is that step me no go through a kwan ben no obi betu aka say one the over regulation in Ghana minimum dem fi say enye possible to me enye possible na me dem say for presidential candidate do am so be chairperson of the electoral commissioner you see one thing is na election in biam me na more or less me coordinate results from the regions. By the time the results be free, remember no. Na part of them say in this region, this are the figures because my science copies. It you be the carbon national no, and the reggae, and as a regional level, and the reggae, and as a constituency level, and the reggae, and as a police station. Na part of them and come away. And it is not possible. National security for some kind. You na you do say, "Untumi election without security." Ain't possible because the way you be an paboni mi wo. Because so aba who's the first one we say yakotambara boss now unsa ne man akofom pa and the electoral commission cannot go if you fan say electoral commission na she for ya to regulation pa so process is here there come we no timai there's no way anybody in Ghana can rig elections na me can say me chire election go fianan me call other countries cause share ekobua ekojike tu omo other countries ba na ejikoti. A prophet has no respect in his own country. But as we share countries outside, now more can Ghana election, not on Boku Fiana, no more can Ghana election. Now you'll be proud to be a Ghanaian. You better like the Kebiano, but internationally, now say a election we know. European Union, also the 2020 election, 195% thumb up on the election. And if someone say, why not 100%? No, say bad for the violent incidents you see, which they cannot bring us in between 100%, 95% too. Now I want you to look for observers, so we need a map, ECOWAS, African Union, Commonwealth, and the rest. The only election was our countries, and look for their judgment. Look at the verdict on our elections. Because me create European Union, me no go to a process now. Say this one, what you are doing, don't you think you are credible for yourself? We are involving the parties too much because the law doesn't say so. Law no can say step them to be a more for party to come. But here the fee say e so money trium no mo hunu. Was it this is not done in any European country. That's what they said. The system no there, but it normal. The be am kaza but it normal. O years them si wie. Now nya area my bro people no but who feri dia teacher na feli wo o mami see the man is wicked he gave me D he gave me but who try dia teacher na the man wo so me ya na me say but you shouldn't take it too far say system no here and because they are involved in every system they should all come together oh how dey yin say how ya no nya adwene and na nya wa adwene say ya ma akwase kabinunti wo kan yen fon kwan de nya adwuma it's not possible. Because at the end of the electoral commission, there are mandates on your election. And the electoral commission will be held responsible for every election I bear in Ghana. And to it does not mean say so can I say nyakwa yemfa nyadwuma. Because you ntimi nkoye mistake. Na election be we are you so hanu achai because na na yakase party the ka say yintra. Na say be yeto ye dey. And you bon fa adwene mra. The ebeboa no ye befa. But the electoral commission is responsible for conducting elections in Ghana, and we are vetted in the electoral commission. So, but people can try to destroy the name of the electoral commission, but posterity will continue to judge us. And election other countries, but me can say 100% perfect. Human beings, a bit my 1 or 2 mistakes. I will know who that one.
Dog.
But your system not there.
Mami miss out last neko. Obian Mr. Dr. Kokrokoo yemini apeni. Madam for no, me know you're fine. Yeah.
Me know ne be wiem.
Yeah, me pasa me next 2024 me contest MP. Oh, as we TV South. Okay. Kwan bench DNT and obi a woti anope betimi agye di say even though we yeminu ya ona we a director of elections ona bibia ba be si so no untimi mo ame ma me nyese akunya no fi Collins Adams.
Yo. Na na me da say what about Collins Dadans Michela na pay I am over and more in a sense damn now I minister and minister a lot of platforms tell me be do parliament go my office said this idea and come you don't say we are friends the things nana So who contest a certificate
South.
Imran say also war 21 years.
Okay.
What you would do? Now what you out for? To be a time so me so independent to so party you.
Them independent.
So party there so party no endorse so say o sponsor so that bit me so o sembo no. But who independent there announce time no so wa you nomination forms. Yes we here obi propose na back one as a second na 18 as support to do 20 supporters. And they should all be voters in your constituency. Also should be a reserve voter in your constituency. To me, we are not a common return officer. Return officer no baby some questions. Now I swearing in said the actual was now correct. All the task and certificate account, all the picture was in a bottom panel they account. To me, we are not that brain. Now you printed battle I know. Battle person would do was time no swan. Nana yadaba a certificate number of polling stations no ya charm will be based on the registered voters. No matter what no. Sabi nana siboku one kind. Ebia nana me nyiri se kwa mesi a certificate south ho no. Community me beto aben bewie. Ndi de ko bia na ya woni a certificate south ho no. Nti omo kwa polling station by polling station ya don balo pesa mo omo masha sa na pa no nson ebono numa mato aben awie obi agina no ho omo kan people so no omo declare results. Na wo ye wadwuma yi a wonum say ye wo ebia certificate mo 100 polling stations. When you results for all the 100 polling stations 128 no when you results no nana we hear about electoral commission uti ofie no wa kan results ni na but depend me ka so me kan say electoral commission for you use WhatsApp and find results but wo nana na wo hon there but man ka say wo for no mo wi a mo twa picture no if you trust them until you can use the WhatsApp results no now the quality results into by time we election by 5 nana me did say bibia e ko ye dia by 9 o'clock now you should know say when winners will lose saba na sribo koku onte jemensa onte and the year we no nana no akotena ase boko opa no akokolation center one opa small bi ukra results tie later commission boss nana man polling station my having GHS
me to Methodist fence GHS
you see my na later commission start my having Methodist GSS nana ya 10 kweku 1 oboa ehwo no me results me woni ewie no the musa man no nana ya nya 11 kweku anya bi wutumi challenge then yen the original results no wo de na ya compare mfum bi difference wo ma you be fry officers no we will go to the root of it na so bi results no e bia ne bakọ no osesa no ba bi and I say the planning dey aye it be wie no you see nana ya nya 10,000 kweku nya 1,000 usi de me come de bom no 11,000 kweku de ye 1,000 nana all this we are you see money pa no one sign say you can result bom de commission some person de clear no enya announce you ojutum nana wa sign it what's you copy nana you can go and sleep
tell me nyin tuma ma sign
so when you tum na you won't sign now mo ba charge ko nda won tum no then it is now can say yeah reasonable the commission will have to investigate and address it but won't you can say me prison officer no me agent no was in a nukum ko die into time I declare results no ni won tum nyin tum nana no nya adwuma na mum do mo declare ma ye no say na a different for the mukra no nana we are mandated to check and correct it tisanity it is a dressing in area now so nyindum kwa we go ahead and declare because I say well lusuntina to zo bia where so we no teacher na afelu no eno dey fan adwuma na mum minya 90% but teacher what say 70% people akwa abetwere ya woduma me the teacher will have to address it
remark
and say be a figure no be say we address it na mo what adwum say minya afa declare na say ulusu ya na afa say won tia obi wo mo collation center ho no wor call for yes say yemfa mahami material GSS results man sam kan biem nkofo na ji results na to mo mahami GSS na wo betena captain
ahwidiem
na wo jina kwidiem say me kan sam nkofo na police wo nya ahwe no mo kan yo e no ma declare results no to bia akofo no say na results see here untu jina ahwidiem say nkan unless say we agent no request for recount wo ahwidiem mahami ana wo ma nya ntum eno de oba argument ho de baba be kan ho but when you to there there's no way say because you am kan wo hwidim enya adwuma to these are the issues that nana wo koye election now so wo say nam na nete now dey adwuma step by step enti Kwaku na yo nua no nana wo kwa na bafre Kwaku aka ya wiyo na menua ma wini na menya say na mate eno kwambo wo kan mate ma mfa nya adwuma to say officially ebam ho na nansem no nti anansem kwa memetuma frɛ no rinya that say frɛ hwidim na bi say nana ya results na cause because me knew it me say hu de kwisi here but me ntimi ka say koji na fa one come two come because go for nim de asi ti san election ti
to ntimi mo ame
nana metuma to fu say nana kofom na koye wadwuma nana enam say me nuanu na say bia me wo twisi be nana gina photo nsuo no foko eno ye behind the scene what is it
ene menko
nandi afuto metum na mo but there's no way me metuma ka say because me to abakra ho
ene menko
na mo me to aba ho there do tina kan lose mama one vote no metuma na me yeso me one vote na mama wini enti sanity nana
brebi ena ohena Agrippa frɛ Paul sɛ wo yɛ so di nyamesɛm bi tete ngɔfo opum ha pa bra na be cheche wasem okasa ya Agrippa tie no a ɔse akakitua bi na nka mai Kristo ni just kakitua bi na nka mai Kristo ni de ohwe minua na ɔte obongum so no sɛ wo kan obontinko mo sɛ akakitua bi na nka wa mana yɛ isi apostle odi anka kwa me yɛ bo dog anope yɛ da wase
me nda me detie ne pa na blame so no me yes this oda so no
da be oja no Ghana Nkrasi fo nyina ye boys SP no
me me Nkrasi ni defam ka ho
enti ye boys SP no
na me me Nkrasi ni defam ka ho
ai odo be ka ho enti dog anope peace fm ne yetie for that say
na me nhire ye nyina
Dr. Sribo Kwaku director of elections Electoral Commission Republic of Ghana Peace 104.3 hey